Welcome back, part 3. We're going to get this finished this time. Part 1 we made the globe, part 2 we made the base. This part we're going to tie it all together. Got a couple of extra bits I want to do on the base, gild the inside, and once that's done we're going to paste a map onto the outside. Show you how I do that. Let's get on with it. Okay, so to kick off the video we are going to drill a hole in the lower shelf. This is a 16mm hole. It's to accept the bottom of this spindle here, which I made at the same time as making the other spindles on the copy lathe. I'm then going to load it back into the copy lathe to turn down a portion of it, and this later is going to fit into the bottom of the globe and support it. This was all done whilst keeping all of these spindle features lining up across all 4 of them. With that spindle installed, it is now time to sand the base. So we're going to go through a variety of grits from 180 up to 240 here, using different sanding sponges to get around all of the features of the spindles. This did take quite a while, lots of nooks and crannies to get into. So I'll just show you the main bits of detail sanding here. Once the base was sanded, all we then had to do was mask up any glue surfaces for later. And now we're ready to spray. Now I'm using a water-based lacquer. It brings out the grain really nicely and it goes on very well with a semi-gloss finish. So this will need about 5 coats, leaving about an hour in between each one. And whilst that's drying, we're going to move back onto the globe. This is the top sphere, and the inside of this sphere is going to be gilded. So from the moulding process, you can see we've got some cracks in the veneer. So we're going to need to fill those with some wood filler. So we're going to do that here. And then once that's dry, we're going to sand that back again with more sanding sponges. I found that if you use them in a circular rotation, you can get a nice, smooth, even finish without digging in, making any hills or valleys. And once that was done and masked up, we're going to spray the inside with some white primer. This will show any imperfections, but also allows us to build up some coats that will then accept a high grit of sanding. Now it was at this point that I realised that the sphere was starting to distort ever so slightly. I think it was probably from all the moisture in the primer, but just to make sure, I'm going to reinforce it with some fiberglass. I'm going to take this MDF ring, and this is going to hold the globe half in the right shape, and I'm going to lay over this very light fiberglass cloth. It's a bit of a shame I'm having to fiberglass this, because I'd really hoped to keep this whole sphere made out of wood, but I didn't want to take any chances that it was going to split or distort so far that I couldn't use it, because I've already got many hours in this and I didn't want it to move. So we're going to go ahead and paste some resin on. we're going to lay the resin on here and then apply the fiberglass. So after that little sidetrack with the fiberglass, we are now finally ready to start some gilding. I've got a pack of gold leaf. To stick the gold leaf onto the inside of the sphere, I'm going to be using this. This is the Kolner Instacoal system. I've used it once before making some fake gold bars out of MDF for a fun little drinks cabinet project. That was a good commission. And when I did that, I sprayed it. And that's what we're going to be doing here to try and get as best surface finish as possible. Once it's sprayed, you need to wait about an hour for that to tack up, and then we should be ready to apply our gold leaf. So let's try that. So once the adhesive had tacked up, you're ready to put the gold on. So we're going to lay it in here and use some tweezers to peel off the backing paper. It's a lot like contact adhesive. When the gold touches, it's on, so you can't really readjust it. Once it touches, you're set. And if you pull it away, you'll tear that piece of gold off. And I'm going to go ahead and very slowly build up the layers of gold, building it up evenly as we go, very gently pushing it down there into the adhesive. And with all the gold placed, we're now going to take this microfiber cloth and just tap it down to make sure it's all pushed into the adhesive and there's no loose bits up there, and then buff it with the cloth, and that's going to take off all the excess gold, and it's also going to shine up the gold that's there currently and make it really shiny. I was really pleased with this. This was a bit of an experiment. I've never done anything quite like this, so I was really pleased with how it came out. And now we're going to move on to the map. So we've got our two halves with finished internals. We now need to do the map on the outside. Now, this was quite tricky to do. I thought I'd found a bit of software to do it, but it destroyed the quality of any map I put into it. But I found this map on this website here. They've got lots of different maps that you can scroll through if you're doing this. But once I found the map I'd wanted with the right colour, I was after a vintage look. I then tile printed it. This took a few attempts to get it to the right scale, but eventually I managed to get it correct. The key here is that it has to be really precise, because any errors compound over the 12 segments of globe. As you're going around, when you get to the very last one, you're going to end up with a huge difference. So it did take me a couple of attempts to get the right scaling. And now we're going to stick the map on. I'm using a pin here to hold the centre on the poles. And I'm sticking the map down with PVA glue. This sticks it down really well. Now initially the paper is a little bit reluctant to conform to the shape of the sphere, but once the moisture from the glue seeps into it after a few seconds, it then begins to do as it's told, and with a roller you can help work the creases out. You can also see here that I'm using a laser to help line up these pieces. I would use the laser on every other segment just to make sure that I wasn't drifting away from the center line. Then we move around the globe and get to the last bit and see that it all fits and lay it on. And all we have to do is do it one more time for the other side. And with the map applied, it is now just a case of assembling. So we're going to glue in the centre support on the base and drill a hole in the bottom half of the globe. Glue the globe to the base. Add these brass rolling feet. And screw it together. With the last job being to add my logo. Now, you may have noticed that the inside of the globe has this built-in rim. This is so I can design a load of different trays to fit on the inside and change the use of the globe as needed. For example, a drinks globe, or my personal favourite, thanks for watching, and I'd also like to thank my friend Alex for taking these lovely pictures. See you next time.